What's up guys, Dave here from SimplySoccer, and in today's video I wanted to do that follow-up video to building self-belief. In the previous video we went over the power of self-belief and kind of the difference between a player that has it and a player who doesn't, even if they're at the same skill level. So today I want to give you some ideas and methods you can use to start building self-belief. Now before we get into this, just recognize that self-belief is a skill, and like any other skill, it does take time to develop, and it does take you putting in consistent work at it to actually develop it. However, it's still, absolutely worth it. I mean, I don't need to explain why it is. It is 100% worth doing that and putting in the work to do this. So let's go over how you can actually start developing self-belief or self-confidence in your ability as a footballer, which will spill over into regular life as well, building more confidence in life in general. So the first thing, like I just said, I want to just mention, this is a learnable skill. This is not something that you are born with genetically or that some people have and some people don't. Everyone has the ability to learn how to be self-confident or have self-belief. One of the videos I really like on this topic, I'm going to link in the description. It's actually a college coach, soccer coach, who's won like a national title or something really big, which is cool, going over this idea of how it's a learnable skill, and I recommend you watch it after this. I'll put it in the description. Great video. But essentially, recognize that it's a skill that's developed, that is developed. Now, you might be saying to yourself, but I've known this guy who's just been confident since he was a kid and had self-belief in himself. And that may be true, he might, but the thing you have to recognize about that is we learn our self-belief and our values usually from somewhere before we start consciously taking over and trying to do it ourselves. And usually we learn it from parents, friends when we were younger, siblings, some role models. And if you have a role model when you're younger who is teaching you how to be confident, whether consciously or subconsciously, you'll grow up with that confidence and self-belief in yourself. If you have a great parent who comes in and teaches you about confidence and self-belief and teaches you to believe in yourself, you'll grow up, as long as it's continually reinforced and everything, you'll grow up with that belief and you'll continue having it. If you're growing up with people who told you you can't, and people who said you can't do that, or that's not realistic, or, like you had dreams and things you wanted to be as a kid, if anyone ever, like a teacher came in and said you can't do that, if you took that to heart, which a lot of kids usually do, you probably didn't grow up with a ton of self-belief and confidence. So just recognize that although it may seem like some people have it naturally, it is absolutely learned. Some people learn it earlier in life, subconsciously or accidentally. Some people learn it later, deliberately. But it is a learned skill. It is absolutely learned, whether you realize it or not. So let's get that out of the way first. Next thing I want to go over is probably one of the most important things when it comes to your self-belief and confidence, and it's your inner voice. And usually I like to separate the inner voice into positive and negative, or what I call can and can't. So that's a very simplified way of doing it, but essentially, if you ever have your inner voice telling you that you can't, or you have your inner voice telling you for the most part that you can't do something because whatever, for A, B, C reason, X, Y, Z, most likely you have a negative inner voice. And that is 100% affecting your belief in yourself and your confidence, because there are going to be a lot of people that hate on you in your life, especially if you're someone who's growing and trying to move towards their dreams or trying to become better. A lot of people are going to hate on you, and that's just the fact of the matter. It's not cool, but it's going to be the case. The last thing you need is for you to be your own hater. The last thing you need is for you to join in with everyone that's hating on you or everyone that's criticizing you or trying to bring you down, and reinforce that. Because what will happen is we tend to, just by default, if we have this can't attitude, when people criticize us and insult us, we start to believe it, even though we don't have to. I mean, have you ever angrily called someone something that you didn't mean later? Well, yes. Most people have. But what you don't understand is if that person's internalizing it, what effect that it has. So don't be someone who internalizes that outside, kind of criticism and stuff. Now, there is a way to do that. There is constructive criticism and all that. But for the most part, if it's hate, you just need to tune it out. But what happens is we get into either this I can't or I can. And the people with the I can't are the ones who are faced with a challenge, or they're faced with something they haven't done before, something new. And their automatic assumption is they can't do it because they've never done it before. But if that was the case, then no one would ever do anything, because there are going to be new things that pop up all the time, new challenges, whether it's moving up teams, whether it's, becoming a starter, that could be a challenge. I mean, this can be other than soccer related too. But let's say, for example, we have a player that has an I can and I can't attitude, and both of them have been scouted for teams that are better than the team they're currently on. The I can't player will immediately start having doubts, thinking, well, I don't know, the level is probably gonna be a lot tougher. I don't know if I can step up and do that. I'm more comfortable on this team because I know I play well. While the I can person will instead think, well, you know, it's gonna be a challenge, but I know I can do it. I know that I can push myself. I know that I can get better, and therefore I'll take it. And you can see if this is the process both of these guys go through, that the I can person is going to start rising to challenges and meeting them and, you know, getting through them, which is going to contribute to their self-belief. So make sure that you are not someone who has an I can't attitude. And this is takes a while to get over, but what you can do to begin changing this is to just monitor your thoughts throughout the day. It's not something you have to sit down and do. Just as you're going through your day, be very aware, consciously analyze and observe your thoughts, instead of just letting them subconsciously flow by. So when an I can't thought comes up, you need to see it, observe it, and then go over why you can do something. Or do, like, maybe if something comes up like, I don't know, I can't practice for this amount of time, or I can't make that team. You know, observe that thought. You can try and understand why you're having that thought, but then change the thought to, like, well, maybe I've never played on this team. Maybe it's going to be a challenge, but I know that if I put in the work and effort that I can. So you need to start changing your thoughts to that. Essentially, it's changing your negative thoughts to positive thoughts. And again, this is a process, but it's a huge thing. Your thoughts really do influence your actions so much. So much. You know, you wouldn't believe that something so simple would have such a huge effect. But when you start developing habits with your thoughts, meaning if you continually think negatively, you're going to reinforce that over and over again. And it's the same with positive thoughts. So start thinking more in a positive light when it comes to your own self-talk. Start having a more of an I can attitude. Even if you're scared, even if you have fear, start having the more I can attitude instead of the I can't. So this is something you can monitor throughout the day. So next, what I want to talk about is repetition. And this is going to be one of the most important things we go over in this video. And it's actually covered in the video I recommended to you with the college coach who talks about this all being learnable. It's repetition. Now, the thing about repetition is repetition at something will increase your confidence at that thing. And the example I use a lot is if you take a penalty. If you've never taken penalties in your life before, or you're not really practiced at penalties, when you step up to take one in a match, you're going to be nervous. You're not going to have the self-belief. You're not going to have the confidence in your ability to put it away, for the most part, for most people. However, if you're someone who's practiced their penalties over and over again, if you're someone who has, you know, worked on their penalties, worked on placing the ball, you know, and has done it over and over again and repetitively, you're going to be much more confident when you step up. So repetition develops confidence. However, it's not just repetition alone. You need consistency. I'm not saying you go out for 4 hours and practice your juggling one day and then wait a week to do it again. It needs to be done on a consistent basis. And he gives an example, Learnable gives an example. Now, the person in the video that I'm going to link to you gives an example of this about a keeper he had, and I love this example. And he said he got this keeper, he's like a 6'3" guy from Colombia, but he had like no hands. He couldn't catch the ball to save his life. Like, he was huge, he was pretty good, but for some reason, he couldn't hold on to the ball. So what he did is he had him go to the wall every single day, and he would, for 300, he said, I think 350 repetitions every single day, would kick it against the wall, catch it, kick it against the wall, catch it, kick it against the wall and catch it. And he did it for 8 months. That seems like that's a long time, but he did it for 8 months every single day doing that. That's a great commitment. Consistently every single day. What ended up happening to that keeper? He ended up playing professionally in Europe. So that's what it can do. He got really good at something that was a main weakness for him, something that he obviously had no confidence in. He did it consistently, repetitively, every single day, practicing that thing over and over again, and he got good at it. He gained confidence at it. When you get good at something, you have much more confidence in it. When you are competent, you have way more confidence. Next thing when it comes to this is you need to challenge yourself. It's not enough to be, this will get you so far. Like, if you're doing something over and over again, so for, let's say you want to learn a step over, and you're doing your step over and over and over and over again, consistently on a daily basis, you will get better at it, but there will come a point where you need to up the challenge. So a better example is, let's say you're doing cone drills and you're weaving in and out of the cones, and you'll be doing that consistently. You'll be doing a certain number of repetitions every single day, and you're getting really good at it. But it's gotten to the point where you're going through the motions. You're not challenged enough. It's kind of, you're not getting much better. You've hit a plateau. That's where challenge comes in. Maybe you need to move the cones a little closer together to up the challenge. Maybe you need to go a little bit faster or take less touches. Whenever you hit that plateau, whenever you hit that point where you've improved to a point where it's a little too easy, you need to up the challenge. Now, when you up the challenge, you don't want to up it too much. You don't want to make it impossible. This is why I always say don't bite off more than you can chew. You want to up the challenge in a way where you can definitely meet the challenge, but that it's not like super easy, right? So you want it, when you're doing cone drills, to be hitting a few cones over. You want to be making a few mistakes because that means you're challenging yourself. If you're not making mistakes when doing this, you're probably not challenging yourself enough. So for example, I always say if you're weaving through cones and you're never knocking a cone over ever, you're not challenging yourself enough. You're either not going fast enough or you don't have them closer together. So always add a challenge. And what this does is it actually helps you get into flow. When you have that challenge and you're trying to beat that challenge and overcome it, and you know you can if you just keep at it, you get into that flow state because you're trying to overcome this thing. You're trying to beat this challenge and rise up. And actually the book Flow, that goes over the flow state by the actual creator or founder of flow, goes over this, that you don't want to challenge yourself to the point where it's impossible. You want to find that happy middle ground where it's enough of a challenge that it really gets you into that flow state, but not so it, disrupts you or deters you from doing it. So that's what you want to do. So just remember, this is incredibly important. And why I have this is because you do repetition, consistency, and you keep doing that. And then when it gets to the point where you're going through the motions, you add an additional challenge, then you do it again. Then you keep doing it until, again, you're going through the motions, you've done everything you can at that level, boom, right back, up the challenge, and we keep going. And that's how you get better and better and better and better. You have a mixture of that consistency and repetition, and then you're adding that challenge in when you need to. Okay, so that's a big idea right here. If you're not confident in something, and all of this too, all of this that I'm going to be showing you, you have to do in this way too, consistently, on a daily basis, repetitively, and then upping the challenge, which could just be, a more in-depth concept or something that can be different, but you want to make sure you're doing this for this stuff as well. So next is, and this is another huge one for me, is mistakes. And what I mean by mistakes is someone who has belief in themselves brushes off mistakes quite easily, as in they bounce back from them, but they're not afraid of making them, and they recognize that they're going to learn from their mistakes. They don't treat mistakes as like a failure, like you're a terrible person because you made a mistake. And it's unfortunate because a lot of us are taught that mistakes should be avoided at all costs, and that if you make mistakes, you're a failure. You need to get rid of this mindset because mistakes are necessary for growth. Absolutely necessary for you to get better. You will not go through life with like a perfect record of never making a mistake. In fact, it's probably going to be really hard to grow if you're never making mistakes. You look at the best players in the world, they've made mistakes. You look at the Messis and Ronaldos, even the Pelés, the Maradonas, the Zidans, the Cruyffs. They all made mistakes throughout their careers. They all lost important matches throughout their careers. Yet they knew that they could bounce back from those and learn from them and get better. They used it to fuel themselves. I mean, even I think Ronaldo and Messi admitted that the other helps them to get better, because the other person getting better means the other person has to up their game and continually get better. So if one misses out on the Ballon d'Or, I never pronounce it right, or the best player in the world trophy, you bet the other one's going to be working their ass off to get it the next time. So just recognize that mistakes, one, are not bad, necessary. Now, I'm not saying go out and deliberately make mistakes. I'm saying that when a mistake happens, recognize that one, you need to brush it off in the moment. So if you're like in a match, just brush it off in the moment, don't let it affect you for more than like a couple seconds at most. And after the match, learn from it, right? So you had a bad game. Okay, everyone has a bad game. Everyone has a bad game every now and then. Some people have a string of bad games. You want to know how to get out of that string of bad games is learn from your mistakes and then get better. That's what you need to do from that point. So recognize that mistakes are, one, okay, two, necessary, and three, you need to look at them a little bit differently. So learn from your mistakes and you will start having more self-belief. And also, I think what helps is, again, don't look at mistakes as a failure, because then when you make a mistake, it's going to really take a hit to your self-belief. It's also going to prevent you from taking risks and from moving forward and challenging yourself more, because think about it. If you're afraid of making mistakes, you're not going to challenge yourself, because by challenging yourself, like I said, you're going to make some mistakes. But if you're never challenging yourself, you're never growing. So that's why you need to recognize that mistakes are fine. Don't deliberately do them, but don't avoid them. Don't not do something because you're afraid of making mistakes, okay? Okay, so here's another bigger idea, and this one I got from someone I follow who I really look up to, who I really like. His name is Robin Sharma, and he goes over this idea of small daily wins. And what I want you to start doing is start recording, logging your daily wins, because most of the time we look at something and go, you know, I want to be at this point by this point or whatever, and we think we all have to do it at once. Like, it's like, I want to accomplish this and I want to get it done quickly, right? We have this like media bias mindset, which essentially means a media bias is essentially you see someone who's successful, but you don't see all the work that goes into them becoming successful. So you see like a 60-minute documentary and you think it all happened, you know, in that 60 minutes, or you think it all happened in a short amount of time, when in reality, a lot of work went in behind the scenes, a lot of effort, years of work and consistency and repetition went into them becoming that, but you only see their success. So recognize, you want to acknowledge your small daily wins. On a daily basis, I do this in what's called a panda planner. I write 3 to 5 daily wins that went well. And it can be something as small as like, I ate only healthy today. I did my workout today and it went well. I had a really good training session. I created a video I was very happy with. You can go even smaller. You know, you can find tons of things. And what this does is it helps you to acknowledge the things that you are getting done and you are accomplishing, and it helps you to acknowledge that you actually are moving forward, which is going to be huge for your self-belief, right? You're going to actually see the progress you're making and acknowledging it. So small daily wins. Now you do want to recognize the large wins as well. Don't ignore them. Definitely recognize the large wins, but don't live just for the large wins. Recognize the small daily wins. Every single day at night. I don't know if you journal, but I'll journal, do my panda planner, and I will write down those small daily wins. What went well today? What did I accomplish today? Then I'll write after that, how can I improve, which is important as well. What can I do the next day to make it an even better day? That's important because you always want to be recognizing what more could I have done. But acknowledge your small daily wins. And again, Robin Sharma taught me this. You can go check out his stuff. Great stuff on there, especially when it comes to having belief in yourself and, you know, growing and, you know, becoming better or becoming or stepping more into your greatness, I think, as he puts it. So great channel to check out. But just remember, small daily wins, you know, when you're doing this stuff, it could be something as simple as like, today I added a challenge to one of my drills, and that could be a small daily win, right? Recognize the small stuff you're doing as well. And okay, yeah, one of the biggest things, or one of the greatest sayings from Robin Sharma that I like is he says that your days are your life in miniature, right? So that's something to keep in mind as well. So always focus on those small daily wins. Okay, so last thing I want to cover, and this one can be a big one too, you know, it varies from person to person, but it's who are your influences? Who are you surrounding yourself with? Are you surrounding yourself with people who shoot you down or bring you down or tear you down, are completely negative, who don't encourage you, who don't want to see you succeed, who make you feel just, you know, like really heavy, like there's a lump in your stomach? Are you hanging around people like that? Because if you are, you're fighting an uphill battle to try and get confidence and believing in yourself. Because if you have people constantly, I know we talked about how when you have a more of an I can and positive mindset, you'll be able to filter out those people who are hating on you. But if you're surrounded, I'm not saying, you know, go out and find those people, you know, don't worry, they'll come to you, but don't actually surround yourself with people who tear you down, because there is only so much you can take. If you're the one positive person in a room of 5 negative people, guess what's going to win out? You get what I'm saying there? So you want to be surrounding yourself with good influences. This is not only in your friend groups or people you hang out with. And I'm not saying, you know, to drop friends or anything. I'm not saying that at all. Just analyze, like, are you hanging out with people who are tearing you down all the time, who are saying that you can't? Because it really is true that like attracts like. And it really is true that the people you surround yourself with are the people you're going to learn the most from. So if you, what is it, like you are the sum of your 5 best friends or something, or the people you surround yourself with the most, the 5 people you surround yourself with the most, something like that. So if you surround yourself with 5 confident, uplifting, positive people who are driven, who go after their goals, who are motivational, who push you and push each other, if you were with those kind of people, guess what's going to happen? You're going to start becoming that kind of person. Opposite's true. If you're around negative people who don't push themselves, who complain, who moan, who tell you can't do it, you're going to start becoming that kind of person too, subconsciously. So you want to make sure you're around good influences. And a great way in this day and age is start watching people as well. Like when you go on YouTube, do you watch people that are, again, giving you ideas like you can't do it, you can't achieve your dreams, you can't become better, you can't challenge yourself because that's scary? Are you surrounding yourself, like, are you watching those kind of people, or are you watching people who are uplifting, who give you great ideas, who, you know, tell you to push yourself, that tell you to challenge yourself, who tell you to believe in yourself? You know, your influences don't just pertain to the people you're surrounding yourself with physically, but also who you're watching, like on YouTube, who you're listening to on audio, who you're watching on TV. If you're surrounded with people who start drama, or if you're surrounding yourself or listening to people who, like I said, start drama, who are negative, who moan and complain, you're going to pick up on that, right? You're going to always pick up on that. So make sure you're surrounding yourself with people who are building you up, helping you to build yourself up, who are positive, who are helping you to learn things that are helping you move forward. Really important idea. So make sure you're doing that as well. Like I said, Robin Sharma is one of mine. You can check him out. Absolutely fantastic. All right, guys, so that's it for this video. I hope it didn't go on too long. I'll try and be more concise in the future. It's just hard when trying to explain something like this to limit it to like 5 or 10 minutes. So sorry about that, but I hope you still enjoyed the content anyway. Make sure you like this video and share it if you enjoyed it, and I will put 2 videos up here on the screen so you can continue learning, and please subscribe if you enjoyed the content. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this all makes sense for you. Feel free to ask me any questions in the comments below. Definitely check out that video I recommended. It will be the first one in the description. It's just a great video, and I'll see you in the next video.